Oh, I
She had
understand.
an Oscar, she had Marvel, she had everything. And then she threw it all away with her own mouth. Here's the thing about Brie Larson. She isn't just a story about a career going wrong. She's the blueprint. She literally wrote the playbook for how a Hollywood star destroys themselves at the peak of their fame. And today, we're gonna break down exactly how it happened, step by step, because trust me, this one is wild from start to finish. Let's go back to before the chaos, back when Brie Larson was, genuinely, one of the most exciting names coming up in Hollywood. Born in California in 1989, she didn't exactly have a normal childhood. Her parents educated her at home, leaving her shy and socially awkward. When she was just 7 years old, her parents divorced and her dad walked out. Just her and her mom left, barely getting by. That detail matters later, so keep it in mind. She relocated to Los Angeles with her mom to chase an acting career. Minor TV roles, forgettable indie movies, a short pop music phase that she'd probably rather we all forget. It was a slow grind. But then came Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and suddenly people started paying attention. Still, her rise wasn't overnight. She kept taking roles in low-budget films that most people never watched. But in 2015, everything changed. She starred in Room, a brutal, emotional film about a mother held captive with her young son. The movie was a massive critical hit, and Brie Larson walked away with the Oscar for Best Actress. Just like that, Hollywood sat up straight. By 2017, she was in Kong Skull Island alongside A-list actors, and the film pulled in over $500 million worldwide. That was the biggest movie of her career at that point. Then in 2016, Marvel came calling. She was cast as Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, the first female-led MCU film, a franchise at the absolute top of the world. This was it. This was the moment that was supposed to launch her into that rare tier of movie stars that only a handful of people ever reach. And that's exactly where things started to go wrong. The problem wasn't the casting on paper. The problem was everything that came after. When the first Captain Marvel trailer dropped in 2018, the reaction was not great. People online tore it apart. The character came across as flat and overpowered. And Brie Larson herself looked like she'd rather be literally anywhere else on Earth. Zero warmth, zero charisma. Just this cold, bored energy that sucked the excitement right out of the screen. But that was just a start, because right around this same time, Brie Larson started saying things publicly that were pouring fuel onto an already burning fire. At a Women in Film Awards speech, she said, and this is a direct quote, "I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him." Now look, her point about diversity in film criticism is a real conversation worth having. The problem is the way she said it came across as aggressive, dismissive, and like she was telling a huge chunk of the audience that their opinion didn't count. The backlash was immediate and massive. She later said she didn't mean to offend anyone. But in PR, timing is everything, and the damage was already done. Then came the press tours. If you've never seen the interview clips from the Captain Marvel press tour, go look them up. It's genuinely uncomfortable viewing. While her co-stars were laughing and joking around, Brie often came across as cold and combative. When Chris Hemsworth tried to say something kind to her, she responded with, "I'm still stronger than you though." When asked the completely innocent question, would Brie Larson work out? Her response was, "Is that like a personal attack or something?" Maybe she was going for sarcasm, maybe she was having a bad day. But here's the thing, you only get one chance at a first impression, and hers was landing wrong every single time. The controversy exploded so hard that Rotten Tomatoes actually changed their entire policy because of it. They removed the ability for audiences to rate movies before release, specifically after Captain Marvel was targeted with review bombing. That's how big this was. Now here's the twist that almost nobody talks about. Behind the scenes, Marvel was genuinely rattled. The movie made over $1 billion, so on paper it looked like a win. But internally, they knew the truth. Half the audience had turned against the film's lead star, and that was a serious problem. So Marvel quietly slashed Captain Marvel's role in Avengers Endgame down to basically a glorified cameo. The plans to make her the face of the MCU's next chapter were shelved. They put the character in a box and hoped the internet would calm down. Meanwhile, outside of Marvel, the film offers started drying up. Casting directors don't like controversy. It makes their projects risky before a single scene is shot. Larson found herself stuck. Her momentum completely killed. So what did she do? She launched a YouTube channel. During the pandemic, when everyone was home and hungry for content, she decided she'd reinvent herself online, show people the real, relatable Brie Larson. And it didn't work. The videos felt staged. The attempts at being down-to-earth came across as forced and uncomfortable, like watching someone act natural while knowing the cameras are rolling. She was genuinely talented on a scripted film set, but playing a normal person on YouTube, that turned out to be her hardest role yet. The views never really took off, and within a year, she shut it down. That left one path forward: go back to Marvel and try to save her career with the Marvels. This is the part of the story where it all comes crashing down. The Marvels hit theaters in 2023 and became the most humiliating box office disaster in MCU history. A franchise that regularly prints $800 million, $1 billion, $2 billion at the box office, this film limped to barely $200 million worldwide. Scathing reviews, terrible audience scores, a complete and total implosion. The question of whether Brie Larson could recover from the controversy of the first film was finally answered. The answer was no. With her movie career in freefall, she retreated to the stage. She appeared in the play Electra in London's West End. The Evening Standard, one of the UK's biggest newspapers, described it as an impenetrable slog, and noted that Larson brought layers of bitterness and desperation to her performance. Tough words. And that is essentially where the story ends. From Oscar winner to Captain Marvel to box office poison to West End stage reviews calling her bitter and desperate in just a few years. When reporters tried to bait her into controversy again recently, asking her opinion on the Johnny Depp situation at a film festival, she actually dodged it. She said she didn't understand the question. You could tell she wanted to answer, but she didn't, which honestly is the first smart PR move she's made in years, just a little too late. So what actually went wrong here? Because Brie Larson is genuinely talented. She has an Oscar, that's real. The problem was never about whether she could act, it was about how she handled fame when it arrived at her door. She got a role that put her at the center of a culture war, and instead of being strategic and careful, she kept adding fuel to the fire. She alienated a chunk of the audience that could have been on her side. She came across as cold in interviews when warmth was exactly what she needed. And when things went wrong, she made choices, the YouTube channel, doubling down on the same character, that didn't fix anything. There's a version of this story where Brie Larson is still one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. The talent was there, the opportunity was there. But fame at that level requires more than just being good at the job. It requires knowing how to handle the spotlight when it's aimed directly at your face. She didn't, and now she's a cautionary tale. If you want to see another story exactly like this one, you can tell me in the comments which celebrities I can do next. Thanks, and bye!